My power Siphon Ballista had to deviate quite a bit from the plan due to the economy. However, I still got my 3 voidstones, complete 99% of my atlas, and the changes I made to the build feels really good. I might end up going with this and try a few more combinations. Exarch and Eater is a joke, and I also kill Maven 2 on a 5 link and scuffed gear without any expensive jewels. The trade market is definitely a problem due to the lack of participant and chaos inflation. Talk about inflation, I was able to squeeze a few tumbling wealth maps in, but let's start where we left off yesterday. So at this point, we have push into map completion at tier 12 and 13 already. And I definitely was making some currency from selling those Betrayal jewelry. Nothing serious though, because Katarina is still keeping me gated from my real wealth. I was literally waiting for the dance of the offered boots all day, but I see none available in the market. So naturally, I gave up, and the first thing that I deviated from my original plan is to purchase the Stampede boots. If you did not know, this boots can also be anointed, and since its series foible is also out of my budget, I decided to buy this. We'll anoint the boots with watchtowers and then have an extra anointment slot on the cheap amulet. As a matter of fact, this is really good for budget options, and here's why. My original plan was to get Pierce from Impossible Escape, but it's also impossible to get it in this economy. We'll solve it by anointing piercing shots on our amulet, and there it is, 10 divine save. Woo! I stick to my plan, farming a Betrayal atlas, running safe house for a lot of experience, and is pushing into red map completion as I got level 90. Here's my actual first jackpot div card of the game. Now I can think about my next item upgrade. Since I really want to transition into the agnostic setup, I did some theory crafting and ended up going with the Cloak of Defiance. A truly cheap and powerful unique. The mod regenerate 1% mana per second on this cloak actually scales with increased mana regeneration rate. So we will be stacking the stats as much as possible. With the mana recovering so fast, you will see later that we have very good sustain, and it's very hard to die unless you got one-shotted. I'll go over some important choices in the skill trees to make your experience smoother. The 3 mana mastery is absolutely mandatory to help you regenerate mana. We are taking recover 10% of mana over 1 second when you use a guard skill here. Arcane Cloak is a guard skill and automation, so every time it trigger, you will get 10% of mana back. In the second mastery, we have chance to recover 10% of mana when you use a skill. We're constantly moving and using our Ballista Totem skill, so this will really help us. We are a mom build, so this mana recoup is literally life recoup for life-based build. Also very good, take these 3 mastery and your quality of life will increase by 200%. We will now path down to the agnostic keystone to take it instead of getting it from the boots. Then we'll unspec this life and energy shield nodes here because we will no longer have energy shield. Those points will be move over here. This cluster give life and mana regen. Very good and very efficient for what we are building. If your level is low, I recommend getting these totem nodes later after you're done with every other point. I accumulated enough instilling orbs, so it's time to craft flasks for the quality of life when mapping. I added a silver flask for the onslaught buff, as we were supposed to get it from the dance of the offered boots. I also got a cheap jewel to fix my strength and dexterity problem. Once you get the Ed series foible, your attributes problem should go away, but for now, we'll have to improvise. From this point on, a 5 link is a big upgrade. On the 5th link, I added crit damage support gem. I also upgrade my support gem to 20% quality by doing the vendor recipes. Remember that this recipe is only for support gems. Now, let's get back to mapping. At this point, my Atlas beginner tree is almost completed. I did not deviate from my original Atlas progression trees, taking Betrayal, Domination, and Strongbox. And now, mining is level 11. This will really help with my gold income. Betrayal really helps with the leveling process. Running Safe House is indeed very safe and gives a lot of EXP. Now, let's get back to some good loots. In this map alone, I got 2 divines, and these are worth much more than the normally because of the Tumbling Wealth Lantern. Talk about worth much more, a Veiled Orb would have been great by now. That was my 3rd Katarina attempt, and the 4th attempt, and the 5th attempt, 6th, 7th. Okay, I give up. At least there is a consolation price. And another consolation price as well. Veiled Orb is only 2 divines at the league start anyway. And this is why we don't take this keystone. You'll be missing out on all these scarabs. Anyway, let's talk about the Tumbling Wealth, where you get all this inflation in the economy. Essentially, it is a mob type and the lantern all flame mechanics. This is what it looks like, and the modifier does not matter. You see this Tumbling Wealth guy right here? Then you just do the map and get a lot of chaos. You probably won't be able to find this guy by yourself, so you need to get into a few Discord with bigger communities where they share this information. I'll probably do a guide on this later, but for now, you only need to understand this. You need to follow the reporter on what monster varieties mod the map has and what tier the map is. Each monster variety will change the lantern, and different tier of the same map will also do that. I'll add a channel on my Discord to share about the lantern as well, but mainly will be forwarded from the larger communities. You also need to set up your Atlas in a specific way to optimize running this type of mob. Obviously, at the higher end, the Containment Ambush Scarab is very good because it has chances to open again, so you double the amount of mob. For me right now, since I'm still working on the Atlas, you want to mainly take Domination, Ritual, and Strongbox, as they add natural monsters to the map. Then you want to either sustain that map by spec into Map Drops node with Singular Focus, or use Horizon Orb to get that map depending on the map tier. I'll provide a rough Atlas tree in the description if you want something as reference for the Tumbling Wealth hours. Overall, I got 40 chaos from a magic map. Imagine how much you can get by juicing the maps. More on this later, I guess. Here's my first voidstone fight with Exarch. This fight is very simple because you're a totem build, and your sustain is also very good. Just watch the fight here as I'm taking damage and agnostic instantly healing me back up. The mana recovery is also very good with the Defiance Cloak, so we basically are immortal to small hit. Remember that we are on day 2 gears, only on a 5 links with no unique jewels. This phase is even easier because we are a totem build. You can put down the totem to tank the fireball for you, and there it is. Getting hit and instantly healing back up. I don't even need a life flask for this. There's also some other interesting interaction I'm looking at, and we'll probably try it out. You can see that while on day 2 with pretty much scuffed gear, we can pump out great damage. But Exarch and Eater is easy fight anyway, so it's not really an achievement, right? So here is the full Maven fight on day 2 gears. I would be able to get better gear than this, but I'm still getting used to playing and making videos, so it slows me down by a lot. I'm sorry if you have progressed further than this, and I'm not able to provide faster updates. Mechanically, you can tell that I'm not good, but this build carries so hard seriously. From my perspective, putting down totems and running around while your totem is doing damage feels amazing. This fight is still not beginner friendly, and Maven's writ costs a lot of money. So seriously think about it first before attempting it. This fight has several phases, and you can make the decision yourself whether or not from this video should you attempt this fight. I think the damage is plenty. Remember that we are still on a 5-link setup. It would help you greatly if you are on a 6-link setup with better gear. You also have good sustain and tankiness, but remember that Maven's fight is all about the mechanics, and it's not easy. I die a few times as well, but honestly, if I play better, this would have been a deathless fight easily. At this point of recording, the Maven's writ costs 200 chaos, so maybe you should attempt it when the price gets cheaper. Also, I was going to do Uber Elder as well, but a single fragment costs 150 chaos, so it's not gonna happen today. You can do it on day 2 though. If this was any other league, this build would definitely be able to clear 4 voidstones on day 2. I'll fast forward the video if you want to see the whole fight and how I die, but that will be it for the day 2 update. I want to add that this build is still experimental for me, and if you want to help my theory craft or have any suggestions, there are a lot of ways to do things, so don't think that you have to follow whatever I'm doing if you think it's not optimal. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the Zerotohero series so far. You can help me by subscribing, giving this video a like, comments with any questions related to PoE. Now, please enjoy the Maven's Echo of Atlas music, and I'll see you in the next one.